Hi everybody, I'm Pia from Stitches and Scraps, and today I'm going to show you how to make chevrons in Star Stitch. If you like this video, remember to hit that like button. For this tutorial, I'm going to assume that you already know the basics of how to make a chevron, where you have increases at the top and decreases at the bottom, and that you do know how to make a star stitch. If you haven't done a star stitch before, I have a tutorial for that, and I will link to it in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, or somewhere near the video if you're watching this somewhere else. But please do check out the star stitch tutorial first if you haven't done that already. So let's get started. This particular chevron pattern is worked over a repeat of 18 stitches plus 11. So for my starting chain, if I'm just doing one repeat, I need 29 stitches, plus I need one extra chain for the turning chain. So to start this small swatch with just one repeat, I'm doing a starting chain of 30. Now my first row I'm going to do in single crochet to establish the chevron pattern and also give us a nice solid foundation to work off of. I'm going to start with the decrease point of the chevron, so the bottom point, but decreases can sometimes pucker a little bit, so I hate putting them right near the edge. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to add a stitch just at the edge. So I'm just going to have a single crochet right here, just this one extra stitch, and that'll give us a little bit of a straighter edge along this one edge. Now I'm going to do a decrease, and since I'm at the side, I'm only going to decrease 2. So I'm doing a single crochet 2 together to decrease 2, and that's going to give me the bottom point of my chevron. Now I'm going to have 7 stitches up to the top point. So 7 single crochets. And now I'm up at the top point and I'm going to do an increase. So I'm going to do 3 single crochets into the top, into the next stitch. 3 single crochets at the top stitch. So 1, 2, 3, all into the same chain. Now you'll notice that I'm working in the back bumps. That's my preference. I tend to prefer that. It leaves such a nice pretty edge at the bottom, and that's why I do it. So you're welcome to work however you like working into a chain. But now I've got one side of the chevron. I've started at the bottom, I've gone up to the top. Now I'm going to go back down again to the bottom. So this is another 7 stitches. So 1, 2, okay, that's 7 more stitches. And now I'm at the bottom, so I'm going to do a decrease, but this time it's a full decrease. I'm not at the edge of the work. So I'm going to do a single crochet 3 together. So I pull up a loop in each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. So I have 4 loops on my hook now. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. So that's a single crochet 3 together. And that's going to be my bottom point. So now 7 back up to the top. And then in my very last chain, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 single crochets. Because we're at the edge, we're not doing all 3 for the increase, we're just doing 2. My last chain's a little bit tight here, sorry. There we go, 2 single crochets. And now if I take this out and show you, and I'll zoom out a little bit, my chevron pattern has been established. So there you can see we have the peak and the valley and then the 2 ends right here. So that establishes the chevron pattern, and now we're ready to do star stitch. I've gone ahead and changed colors so you can more clearly see what I'm doing. This is not where you would change colors in that washcloth pattern I showed you earlier. This is strictly for the tutorial so you can see my stars. Okay, so don't get confused by that if you're making that washcloth. And by the way, I will link to that washcloth in the description of this tutorial as well. Okay, so let's get started with our star row. We're going to chain 1 as a turning chain and turn our work. Now we're at the top of our chevron, so we're going to go ahead and do 2 half double crochets in the very first stitch to do that edge increase here. 1, 2. Okay, now we're ready to start our stars. but star stitches build off of each other or off of a chain. So how are we going to start it? What are we going to build off of? Well, we're going to build off of a half double crochet. And how do we do that? Well, a normal star, you have one loop already on your hook and you pick up 5 more loops as you go, right? We pick those up in the eye of the star, in the last leg of the star, in the base of the star, and then in the next 2 stitches. Well, this half double crochet has no eye, so let's do a yarn over instead of picking up in the eye. Okay, we can, however, pick up in the leg of this half double crochet. So I'm going to stick my hook in between the legs, okay, and pick up a loop in that last leg of the half double crochet. Now the next one would be the base. Well, the half double crochet has a base, so we can go ahead and pick up there, and then we pick up in the next 2 stitches. So now we've picked up 5 loops because we have the yarn over, we have the side of the stitch, we have the base of the stitch, and then we have in the next 2 stitches. With 6 loops, we can go ahead and finish our star. Okay, and then chain 1 closes it and gives us an eye to start building off of for the next star. So let's do 2 more stars. We've got the eye, the leg, the base, and the next 2 stitches. Gives us 6 loops, yarn over, pull through all 6, and chain 1 to close. Again, the eye, the leg, the base, and the next 2 stitches. Okay, 6 loops, pull through, and chain 1 to close. So now we've come to the decrease section. Here's our decrease from before. There's 1 stitch before it, and we're going to use 1 stitch after it, and we're going to decrease 3 together into 1. Now, I would normally say do a half double crochet 3 together, but that can be a little bit bulky. So let's see how close we can make this look to a star. Okay? We're going to not yarn over for our first one. We're just going to pull up a loop in that first stitch. Okay? Now yarn over, pull up a loop in the next stitch, which is that decrease, and then yarn over again and pull up a loop in the next stitch. So basically we went stitch, this is the loop that was already on our hook, so we went stitch, yarn over, stitch, yarn over, stitch, and look at that, we pulled up 5 loops and we have a total of 6 loops on our hook. So now we're going to yarn over and pull through all 6, and you can, if you want to, close it with a chain, but I did not for this pattern because I felt that that made it look a little too open. So we're going to leave it like this. This is the decrease, plus not closing it helps you identify it later as the decrease. And then we're going to continue making stars all the way up. Now remember, we need something to build our star off of, so we're going to do a half double crochet for that. Now we're going to build our first star off of this half double crochet. So again, yarn over because there's no eye to pick up in, pull up a loop in the leg, okay, pull up a loop in the base, and pull up a loop in each of the next 2 stitches. Yarn over and pull through all 6, and chain 1 to close. Now when you look at our decrease that we had here, if we had an eye it would be right here, but this is actually that half double crochet. When we go to work back into it, we'll be working into here. This part, this is actually the top of our decrease stitch. So be aware of that when we come back. When we do our next decrease, it's going to be here, here, and here. This is not the decrease. Okay, so we've worked the first star, and now we can continue to do 2 more stars. And you can say it to yourself as you go, eye, leg, base, stitch, stitch. 6 loops, pull through, chain 1. And if you want to see that slower, check out the star stitch tutorial. It shows it to you much slower a few times. Okay, now we're at the increase. So we're going to go ahead and do 3 stitches into this top stitch here. So that is 3 half double crochets. And now we're going to do stars down here again. So remember, start with the half double crochet to give us something to build off of. And this is why you have 7 stitches in between, because each star takes up 2 stitches, and we're doing 3 stars, so that would be 6 stitches, but we need this extra one for the half double crochet to get us started. So yarn over, leg, base, stitch, stitch, pull through all 6 and close it. Eye, leg, base, stitch, stitch, yarn over, pull through all 6 and close it. One more, guys. Eye, leg, base, stitch, stitch, yarn over, pull through, close it. And we're ready for a decrease. Okay, why are there 3 stitches left? We're going to decrease 2, and then remember, when we end at the decrease, we're putting that extra half double crochet at the end, or extra stitch at the end, to give us a nice clean edge. So here we're going to do just a half double crochet 2 together, however you feel like doing that. I sometimes omit this first yarn over when I do this just to make it less bulky, but whatever you like to do for a half double crochet 2 together is totally fine. And then we're going to do another half double crochet in this end stitch here. And that gives us our first row of star stitch chevrons. Now, to set us up for another row of that, we're going to come back and we're going to just do single crochets all the way across in the chevron pattern again, though. So we start here with a decrease. Actually, we start with the 1 single crochet stitch for our edge stitch, right? And then we're going to do a decrease. When we're working into the star, each star took up 2 new stitches, and each star is going to count as 2 stitches. We're going to work 1 stitch into the eye and 1 stitch into the top of the star here. So let's do our decrease over the next 2 stitches, which is this decrease here, okay? And these are single crochets now for the wrong side, okay? So this decrease here, and then the eye of this star right here. So that's our first decrease, and now we're going to have 7 stitches up to the top, so it's going to be the side of the star, the eye, the side, the eye, the last side of the star, okay? So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Then there's that half double crochet that we started with our beginning star with, so there's 6. And then out of these 3 from the increase, we do a single crochet into one of them. Now we're right in the center of that increase, and we do 3 single crochets at the top of that increase. So now again, we're going to do 7 single crochets down to the bottom of this decrease, down to that valley. So let's look at what we have here. We have that 3rd stitch out of the increase from the previous row, so single crochet into that, that's 1. Then we have an eye, that's 2, a side, which makes 3, another eye makes 4, another side of a star makes 5, the next eye makes 6, and the next side of the star makes 7. So there's our 7 stitches. Now we have that half double crochet that started our star, we have the decrease, and we have the eye of the next star. So that's what we're going to do our decrease over. Pick up a loop in each one of those for our single crochet 2 together, or 3 together, I mean. So there's our decrease. Let's finish it off by getting 7 up to the next end here. So we went into the eye of this star, so now we're going into the side of the star. And the eye, that's 2. Side of the next star, and the eye, that makes 4. The side of the next star makes 5. The half double crochet that started our star makes 6. And then this had an increase with 2 half double crochets at the top. So one of those makes 7. And then we're at the very last stitch and we work 2 single crochets into that stitch. And now we're back to exactly where we started with the green row. This has exactly been the same as the green row. We've just been working into stars instead of into the chains. So now when we come back, we can do another row of star stitches just like we did before. And that's how you do chevrons in star stitch. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, or leave me a comment. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel for more great videos. Thanks for watching!